Good day and welcome to our presentation on job resources determining job engagement and organization engagement in Malaysia Polytechnics. I'm Tiurma Siagian with our my partners, Caroline dan Siagian and Koswat J. We all are lecturers from Polytechnic Kota Kinabalu. Before we proceed with our presentation, I would like to share with you some of the headline news which commented that public servant in Malaysia performance has been stagnated since 2014. This was commented by World Bank. So our group take a big step to study the employee engagement among public servants, especially lecturers in Polytechnics, Malaysia. Our presentation outlines will follow these 10 subtopics starting from introductions, problem statements, objective of studies, scope and limitations of studies, significance of studies, literature reviews, data and methodologies, findings, conclusions, and lastly, recommendations. For introductions, Polytechnics Malaysia is one of the biggest higher education institutions in Malaysia, providing vocational education with the objective to produce a world-class mindset human resource which are creative and able to compete in global market. How Polytechnic Malaysia to achieve this goal? Of course, by having a best employees. So who are the best employees? And the best employees are those employees that are engaged with their organization. That was mentioned by the Right Management 2009. The study of employee engagement are still limited and still scarce in public sector, especially in education sector. Before I proceed with these presentations, I would like to draw your attention to these two figures of statistics. First is from SISPA, Sistem Pengurusan Aduan Awam, which received about 122 complaints in 2017 under the Higher Institutions Ministry. And on the second figures is from ISIC 2018, shown that from different levels, grade of lecturers has been suspended from their jobs, and also some of them also shows that they are to leave or resign from their jobs. From these two figures of statistics might display the situations of employee engagement among lecturers in higher education, specifically in public sector, and will narrowing into polytechnics in Malaysia. Why employee engagement needs to be studied? Okay. First is the model of engagement, the theory of engagement is still needed because of the purpose of generalization. And the second, the level of engagement of employees are still in critical state. For example, Gallup research found that only 13% of employees are engaged with the organization. And the third is most of the study of employee engagement are focusing on private sector. So these are the some of the problems that need to be considered why employee engagement studies need to be run. This study has two objectives. First is to determine the job resources influence toward job engagement, and the second is to determine the influence of job resources on organization engagement in Polytechnics Malaysia. The study scope and limitations only will cover the samples of educators or academicians in Polytechnic Malaysia. There are 36 polytechnic in Malaysia, and in 2018, where the study has been started, the numbers of lecturers is 7,351. There are three reasons why these studies are significant. First, it added the body of knowledge by adding the findings on how job resources can influence on employee engagement in Polytechnic Malaysia. Second, it gives an valuable insight to the leaders, the human resource practitioners, and to the management, how they can apply job resources into a more meaningful towards their employees. And the third is to sustain the valuable employees. So this also gives an important in-depth knowledge to the human resource, to the leaders, to the management, how they can keep their valuable employees who are engaged in their institutions. There are four contributions of this study. First, of course, in terms of literature, the studies will look into two types of engagement as proposed by SEX 2006, that is job engagement and organization engagement. This study will clarify how job engagement determines job engagement and organization engagement. The second is in terms of methodology. The study opted two-stage approach in PLSM, and this method has been approved to give a more meaningful result by Ringel et al. 2016. And third, in terms of theoretical, the study has two underpinning theories, that is job demand resources and also social exchange theory. And lastly, in terms of managerial, this study gives an in-depth insight to the human resource and also to the managers. To clarify the two types of engagement in the study, first, job engagement. Job engagement referring to the employees' preference toward the job or task. Meanwhile, organization engagement is the preference of employees toward the organization. So they are willing to or adhere to the organization procedures and policies. These are the theoretical framework for the studies. The job resources construct has four types of items: financial rewards, team climate feedbacks, and participation in decision making. Toward job engagement and organization engagement. From these studies, we opted two types of hypotheses. First, hypothesis 1 is job resources has a positive influence toward job engagement, and the second hypothesis, job resources has a positive influence toward organization engagement in Polytechnic Malaysia. The two types underpinning theories used in the studies are job demand resources, which claim that job resources are those anything physically, social, or organization aspect that can reduce the job demand in their institutions. Meanwhile, the social exchange theory, or SET, states that people make a social decision based on what they receive and also what they perceive as cause from their um, leaders or managers, and they will justify the reason whether they will engage or less engage. The target populations for the study is the lecturers in Polytechnic Malaysia. There are total of 36 polytechnics Malaysia around Malaysia, and 7,351 lecturers in 2018 where the place of this study has begun. The sampling method is the probability simple random sampling, and the, the survey are using an online survey that is SurveyMonkey. And to determine the size of respondent or sample, we are using the G power 3.1, and the total size of sample is 244, but we only managed to receive 230 valid response. That is 94% response rate. These are the respondent profile. Based on this respondent profile, we have calculated descriptive statistics to give a more meaningful data in terms of means and standard deviation. Along with that, we also calculated cross-tabulation between two data to give a more meaningful data as well. Okay, our methodology, we are using PLS SAM. So we will begin with reflective measurement model assessment. So after calculating the construct, we found out that each of the construct has a composite reliability more than 0.8, and also each of the construct also have conversion validity by looking into the average variance extracted AVE more or 0.5. So this value reflect that our construct or our items positively has a composite reliability and also validity. To further explore into the discriminant validity, we also do a cross-loading assessment, and we found out that each of the indicator loaded high on its own construct and low on other constructs. Okay, the third step is measurement model of the second order construct formative. Based on the value of item VIF or variance inflation factor, we found out that the collinearity assessment VIF meet the threshold value of 5 or lower than 5. Thus, this concluded that collinearity issue is not a problem. In terms of significant and relevant assessment for formative, by looking into part coefficients and p-value and also p-value, this signifies that this construct meet the threshold value for each of the part coefficients and p-value and also the p-value. For further testing on the significant and relevant assessment of the formative, we are doing the test on retaining the indicator by looking on the outer loadings. The outer loadings value also meet the threshold value of 0.5. So lastly, in PLSM's assessment is the structural model and evaluation of hypothesis. By looking into the confidence interval bias, A hypothesis to be significant in case the confidence interval being significantly different from zero. By looking into hypothesis 1, the relationship between job resources and job engagement, there is different from zero. So this hypothesis 1 is significant. By looking into hypothesis 2, the confidence intervals are indifferent from zero, is indifference of zero. Thus, hypothesis 2 are insignificant. Coefficients of determination R square identify the variance endogenous construct explained by exogenous latent variable. Job engagements will influence job engagement were influenced by job resources by 55.6%. Organization engagement were influenced by job resources of 68.5%. And for the conclusions, it is that evidence that job resources was a predictor to job engagement and also to organization engagement. However, in this study, hypothesis 1 shows a significant relationship between job resources and job engagement, but hypothesis 2 shows an insignificant relationship, which indicates that hypothesis to be not supported. Based on previous study also stated that job resources surely and positively will influence and determine the job engagement, but there is still lack of study that shows the relationship between job resources and organization engagement. So this study has proved that job resources surely determine job engagement as following the other previous studies in literature reviews, and also added new findings in terms of the relationship between job resources and organization engagement, whereby it not supported. So, our group would like to recommend for future studies, they can continue this employee engagement in terms of investigate employee engagement in other settings, not only in Polytechnic Malaysia, but might be in other higher institutions in Malaysia. And second, to investigate the relationship between job resources and with job resources with team engagement. And third, to investigate the hypothesis in longitudinal design. And number 4 might be focused on how employee engagement can benefit managerial decisions and important outcomes. Thank you for listening. Until then, thank you again. See you.